All right, after all these seasons, she's finally going to be interesting and or compelling. Now, I got to tell you, Kyle Richards, I have done so many Real Housewives recaps, after shows, commentating, and one thing, well, there's a couple things that I have stood my word on is that Kyle Richards is boring. Oh, she is so boring. And before you get into it and say, oh, you got to have that grounded character. Candy's the grounded character on Atlanta, etc., etc. She's not even good at that. This Kyle Richards, the miracles can happen with the Kyle Richards. That's what I know. Because season 1, episode 1, I was like, oh, she's lackluster. Get her off the screen. She's not good. This is how you know connections and being connected somehow, some way. This is how you know you ain't got to be good because people going to let you rock no matter what, right? So I've been saying season after season after season. In fact, when people would say, and we're going to get to the little news story in a second, when people would say, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, it's the crown jewel of the network. No, it's not. It can never be. It can never be for a couple of reasons. It could never be because Lisa Vanderpump was not strong on that show, and granted, she was able to make Vanderpump Rules, but it was never about her. In fact, when she'd get on the show, I'd be like, "Do we need you to talk to them? Like, we don't need you to talk to them. You're the motherly figure. We don't need that. We don't need that. The characters are what we watch the show for. Sheena is what we watch it for. Definitely not Lala because she's boring as dirt. Also." Or she's not herself. Something tangent. Let me get to the lecture at hand. But what I'm saying is Beverly Hills was never exciting to me because you had Lisa Vanderpump and you had Kyle, and they were getting all the shine. It was just so odd. Sometimes that season I remember being like, I think the executives need to call me and ask me what I think because they are wrong and I'm right. Anyways, as it may be, Bravo will do what Bravo's going to do, and they let it go season after season, and Kyle became like the big star of the show, which is why I never watched. I actually didn't start rewatching. I mean, I spot watched a couple of the seasons a little when Erica Jane came through. She was a little interesting, of course. I wanted to see what was up with Brandy. I thought that was interesting, but like Kim, Kyle, what's the other sister's name? Get them off! None of them are interesting. But here's the thing. I think a lot of the fan base seemed to really like her because, you see, I wasn't into like the simple life. So it's a residual, I guess, fan base from like, oh, the Paris Hilton aunts thing is what I'm trying to figure it out, because if you did not grow up liking The Simple Life, because it was not, I mean, Nicole Richie was funny, but it wasn't a good show. It just wasn't. It just simply wasn't. And so I think maybe that's what gave Kyle another extra push, because there was a lot of people that grew up like idolizing Paris Hilton. I mean, I've seen Paris Hilton on a red carpet before. It's fine. She's cool. Whatever. It is what it is. But like, I'm just saying, Kyle never pulled her own weight in this show. And then we're gonna get to the moment. We're gonna get to this separation in a second. But it was years and years and years of me being baffled that she kept getting renewed without being interesting. So then I tried to calculate it, and I said, well, let's just think about this here. Maybe it's because of her fine husband. Now Mauricio is fine. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Mauricio is fine, and maybe that was what it was, is that she represents this warmth of this family. I don't really know, but all I'm saying is I'm not laughing, because this is, even if you don't like a character on the television, at the end of the day, they're on the television, you don't know them, right? So Kyle is just boring. It doesn't mean I don't not like her. Like, I want her to have a great life. I want everyone to have a wonderful life. I want me to have a wonderful life. But with Kyle, when Reza said, I mean, he was asked the question, who's a lackluster housewife? Clearly, Kyle is the answer. I've been saying that for years on this here YouTube channel, and for anyone else who would listen. And the reason I say it is because I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why, because you can't be that boring and keep getting called back without a reason. There's a reason. These connections, there's a reason. Because nobody else is allowed to be that boring. Not one person. Oh my, the way they put some of these housewives through the dirt. But not that darn Kyle. She just frolicked on the stage, or the show. She hasn't done anything interesting ever. Ever. Okay, but now let's talk about this thing. So it appears, I'm only 5 minutes in, it appears that she's going to get a separation with the gorgeous Mauricio. So then all the questions start coming in, and I'm not really into the like who and the what and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No. But I will say, Mauricio, you know, had there been, you know, some potential like, oh, Mauricio's, you know, getting his whistle wet. Is he getting his whistle wet amongst not Kyle? And so that had been stated, but I, you know, again, don't care. I mean, if Mauricio wanted to call me, you know, I shall wet the whistle. Thank you. What that mouth do? I'm kidding. I am kidding. But he's a hottie for sure. Mauricio. But see, I could never with Mauricio because he'd be like, but you have not really liked my wife on your YouTube and podcast and all the things. You've never really said anything. I'm like, yeah, but I still think you're hot. Now shut up. No. So there was a little bit of that in terms of like Kyle, potential separation. And then now newer things are being said like, oh, did Kyle step in the lady pond or whatever? Again, I much less don't care. The moral of this story is separation is sad, divorce is sad. Now, a separation does not mean divorce. It just means it is a separation. And, you know, you wonder, like, will this play out in the season? Now, the cameras have went down for Beverly Hills, the new season, but this sometimes is enough to create excitement. You got to think about like Real Housewives of Atlanta with Drew and Ralph. Like even me who hasn't really ever enjoyed Ralph. I think it's her third season. Ralph enjoyed Drew. It's I think her third season. But there is a part of you that does want to watch the filming process leading up to when Drew and Ralph do actually. Theirs is actually a divorce, right? So I do assume that this is, I mean, again, this is a human thing. I'm not by any means, even though I think Kyle is really, really boring, significantly boring. She's more boring, like, and not that these people are boring, but like the production crew is more interesting than Kyle and always has been. And they know it too. I've got word. They know it. Believe me. I've worked in production before. Resume's thick, baby. So back to the lecture at hand. So my thing is this. You wouldn't want this for anybody. My difference with thinking she's a boring cast member, why does she keep getting brought back, has no, there's nowhere in my heart where I'm like, oh God, this is great that, you know, or ha ha. No. Separation, what a terrible thing to do it in the public eye. But in terms of will this be something that is now marketable? You know, we've seen how even though things were as hard as they were with the Scandival over there on the TV show Vanderpump Rules, I mean, everyone's sitting pretty with contract renewals and hundreds and hundreds of thousands in terms of what they've made on the backs of this. So, you know, sometimes, you know, someone like Kyle, I always wonder, the people that are so rich, like me, I can't relate because, you know, it's week to week paycheck. I'm often wondering, can I keep my light bill on, you know, that type of thing. The shit is tough. And I've been at this for 20 years and have a skill set, by the way. So I'm grumpy. No, but my point is, you do have to wonder what the people, like, this is a good question. All of these housewives that come on these shows, they already have wonderful lives. Like, why do this? Like, I could totally see it in the vein of you don't really have a lot going on and you need to sort of come up and then that kind of like builds out your life in a really good way. But if these people are already doing so well and already so successful, it almost seems like potentially a liability. You know, Mauricio is already balling in real estate. You know, I don't know. Like, what is it? What is it where Kyle felt like she needed to do the show? Or did the show come to her? I don't know. She did that pilot, right? Or the faux pilot that she created with her three sisters. Maybe that's been scrubbed. Maybe that is what got in the things in motion originally. For whatever reason, she's here on this damn show. I would love more than anything if she said, you know what, too much on my mind. This mentality of, not mentality, but this mental health to go through a divorce or a separation to film this show. She has that significant weight loss. And is she dating in the lady, is she lounging in the lady pond? It's just so much. I think maybe, hopefully, this will be her last season and she could take a break. Now, saying taking a break isn't a bad thing. This is not for the faint of heart, this type of show. You know what I mean? I can even relate to that in some of the projects I've worked on. Not everything is supposed to be at 100 all the time. You do need to take a break. It's the best thing for you. But I don't know. Maybe you sound, or when you're listening to this, watching this, maybe you feel like I'm straddling the fence because I'm giving a lot of compassion for the fact of her breaking up, what that must feel like, 27 years of marriage. He was a damn hot husband, so you know the you know, in the bedroom it must have been nice. But that's still hard. I do. And I know the golden rule of being like a YouTuber. Granted, I'm not a YouTuber. I started in radio 20 years ago. I do something a little bit different. But the golden rule on YouTube is not to, like, you know, you're just polarizingly on this side. But I'm not going to do that. That's not what I do. I want to have the compassion. The chick is boring. She's the worst to ever do reality TV. But that doesn't mean I'm not compassionate towards this real life experience. Now, if we ever were to come to find that this experience was a little bit fabricated, then we would have a different episode. And then I'd release the hounds. No, I would just be a little bit more like, come on. So let's do the side of if you're really sad. And this is, again, let's try to get to that space of, we like Kyle. Let's imagine, you know, I'm going to try. It's not going to be easy. And here's the good thing about me not liking Kyle and thinking she's very boring, thinking like, you know, drinking NyQuil is more entertaining than watching Kyle on the TV. I just feel like maybe I'm missing something. So if you are able to see something about Kyle that is magical, just nicely put it in the comments and say, oh no, she's good because of this. You're just missing the buck. Like you're missing it. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm a bitter bitch and I don't know how to like characters outside of the amazing ones. Like a Kenya Moore, like a Giselle Bryant, like a Larsa Pippen, like a Melissa Gorga, you know, like a Sonia and Luann, although I am not looking forward to their Simple Life-esque reality show. This whole, we're going to take you from this and put you in squalor. No. Which reminds me, I have got to do a whole episode one day about how I get really mad that every show wants to be about this opulence and then, you know, whatever. You don't really have to do anything because you're opulent. And I'm not saying aspirational lifestyle is not an enticing thing. What I am saying is we just went through a 3-year pandemic, okay? A 3-year people out of work. I could relate to that. And there is not one show out there for your, this is not me, but like for your, I'm a theater, you know, not a household name, a theater performer, and I had to struggle to pay my bills during the pandemic. Where are the reality shows? And I'm going to create them, by the way. Thank you. A whole new, act like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm going to create these shows that have, oh, there goes the siren. This is how you know the episode is as real as it's going to get. We're up here in New York City just trying to push through. But my point is, like, too many shows and the networks, and I've been around some of the stuff, you know, I've been on television a couple times, lots of radio experiences. Some of the networks, they want to rely so much on like, oh, but like, let's get, you know, do a show on, you know, this person has 1 million followers or they're, you know, have a $20 million home. All that's great, but you got to give story. And I just need to, in my mind, and I've said this a long time, I need us to go back to like that time of like, remember the Making the Band where it was like a bunch of people trying to get their dream. O-Town was the original group, then it was the band, then it was Danny Kaye, then it was Day 26. I think there should have been more of that. Like, give us the stories of people who are working their survival job and then trying to make their dreams happen versus giving somebody who's a rich, already, you know, multi-millionaire, and then we're going to make them even more rich. I still understand, this is like such a tangent, I still understand the context of like watching Housewives. I don't knock it completely because I've talked to this topic about with friends or whatever, family, like, oh, but if you don't like it, and it's not like saying I don't like the Housewives. If you don't like it, why watch it? Well, contextually, as a gay man, this is a little bit of the language, you know what I mean? So maybe there's something deeper that I got to really dig into. I don't know. But my point is, I feel like we have an abundance of the Kyles out there that are very boring, and I think there's other stories to tell. And guess what? I'm going to get the producer credit because I'm going to tell those stories, but that's neither here nor there. You know what? Come to find, I bet you Kyle actually really likes me, because what I think is happening is too many people are just yes-anding her. And then there's me, who's very compassionate. Don't want nothing bad for you, Kyle, per se. Doesn't your daughter have a spinoff or something like that? However, not a lot of people give you the truth of the matter. And I mean, one or two, consultations with me and media training that I could put you right together and it'll be all good. And act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like that would be crazy. Because I do. Anyways, Kyle, in your hands. I wish her all the best in this new journey for sure. Mauricio, who will he be with next? Who is he already with? I cannot wait to find out. Or if they go the long haul and do decide to stay together and make it work for the sake of their kids, that's cool too. No issue. No issue. I just think it's so funny because all these times I've always told everybody Beverly Hills is not an interesting show. Kyle's not interesting. And now she's done something interesting. But it is sad too. But to have her on that TV and get paid as much as she did and never have to work. She's never had to work. She's went all that season, all those season after season after seasons. These trips, etc. The notoriety, the coming to New York to do Watch What Happens Live without a skill set in the world. And finally, because she's getting a separation after 27 years, she's now interesting. Like a little, like a very little, very little. Not a lot. Oh, Kyle Richards, you have got some work to do. Oh, remember she had that show? I mean, I don't want to call it a failed show, but she had the show with Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, doors open for that Kyle, and she's never been interesting. So that's just the way it is. So I commend you. I commend you because miracles happen. Because you don't have an ounce of talent, and look at all the success. Let's wrap this with a good note because my brow is starting to sweat. It's a hot, humid day in uptown Manhattan, and I need to go about my day. But I will say this. Good luck, Kyle. Or no, bye, Kyle. Okay, it's over.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.